This is Hawaii News Now, sunrise at 5. Hawaii's most watched morning news.
What do you have coming up for the rest of the morning while we have you?
Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll talk some more about Hawaiian Airlines, but also about Hawaii-New York connections with an Outrigger canoe club that has an event every year up here. And then a little later, we'll have Mark Dunkerley talking about how many tickets they've sold this summer.
Howard Dicus out in New York City. How's it, buddy?
Hey, Hawaiian Airlines rings the bell at the stock market this morning. And when we come back in a few minutes, you'll meet a local person who grew up in Hawaii and still maintains a Hawaii connection.
And Howard Dicus still live in New York City this morning. Now that the inaugural flight to New York is left and landed back in Honolulu, we're hearing more from the passengers who took the first flight. Howard Dicus live with a very special guest and more details. How's it, Howard?
Good morning, Steve. Yeah, it's funny. If you don't have any personal ties to New York, you might think, okay, so Hawaiian's flying to this exotic place. Maybe I'll go on vacation and maybe we'll get more tourism from there. But I've been meeting a lot of people with Kama'aina ties in New York. Now, Brent Beck may not look like a local guy, but this man spent part of his childhood in Niu Valley. So you work in business law here in New York now.
Yes.
And you're the president of New York Outrigger. Tell me about the club.
Sure. We're actually a fairly large canoe club by East Coast standards. We have 80 active members, and unlike a lot of the clubs back home in Hawaii, we run a little bit differently. We have a very active outreach program, so we're weekly running novice sessions to get New Yorkers out in the water, to get them for the first time in a canoe, and for a lot of them their first time on the Hudson River.
There's actually a little bit more of that going on back home since you left, and so I'm very glad to hear that you're doing that. Now, this race that you have coming up on, did you say June 23rd?
June 23rd.
Okay, so it runs across a lot of water that's not necessarily placid all the time.
No, not at all. I mean, you have a lot of different currents coming through, a lot of different confluence of water. You have the Hudson River, you have the East River, and then you also have the ocean, the Atlantic, coming back in through New York Harbor. So all these sort of meet up, and they will create very unusual water conditions over the course of the day.
Must be interesting, though, to be paddling and be able to see the Statue of Liberty as you go by.
It's really the reason that people come to do our race. They really enjoy that, and we actually station one of our media boats out there so we get a shot of people as they go around. But unfortunately, most of the paddlers, even the very serious all-star teams, will stop and just kind of stare up at the statue as they go by.
Yeah, I can understand that. You're not the only person born or raised in Hawaii in the club, are you?
No, not at all. We have a number of people who grew up in Hawaii who now live here in the city. We have people who are from different parts who lived in Hawaii at points, and then we have native New Yorkers who just happen to want to get out on the water and are excited about trying outrigger canoes.
Okay, so if you've been thinking that what Hawaii should do is just take the Hawaiian spirit and take over the world with it, our diabolical plan is working. Steve, back to you.
Yes, we will take over the world. Thanks a lot, Howard. Appreciate it, buddy. Howard Dicus, as we mentioned all week long, is in New York City this morning. He talked to Hawaiian CEO Mark Dunkerley about the inaugural flight and a local boy who's now paddling in New York this morning. Good morning, Howard. What do you got now?